If a zombie apocalypse actually arises, what's the first thing you'll do? Story 1 boats. I'm not waiting anything out. I am not going to hunker down. I'm going to contact my friends, take a whole dock with my friends, and immediately become a strong force on the water. Zombies, as much as we can guess, don't do well in water. If we take a lot of boats and sink others, then nighttime raids are harder to have happen. Travel is easier. Getting larger sailboats to take land trips to gather fuel for our smaller, stronger ones. Raids would be easier. We'd port, be in and out to loot so quickly and hardly a trail. Story 2. Stay fucking put when it first starts. Everyone is going to freak out and try to reach family/friends, so drawing more attention from the dead and causing more accidents on the roads. Stay put. Give it a few days or a week if you can, and have the supplies. Story 3. I have a cabin in northern Quebec, live in the general Ottawa area. We have bug-out bags and more than enough of provisions, including guns and ammo, to make it there. We have plans to get there by car, by bicycle, or even on foot through the wilderness if shit is really bad. The plan would be to make it there and wait for the winter to come. Story 4. Let's face it, the immediate chaos is going to shut everything down, and mass dehydration and starvation will run rampant, in addition to other diseases and medical conditions. That's all in addition to the spread of zombie infection. We would probably sit down and have a long and hard discussion about whether or not we feel it prudent to continue living. Would probably gather up the animals, meet up with friends, have a one last rager party indoors, open all the doors at the end of the night to let the animals a chance to escape, and then finally go with our selected permanent nighttime potion of choice, whether that's bullets, poison, OD, etc. Let's be honest. Do we really all want to have to suffer through the smell of all the food in everyone's refrigerators rotting at the same time, coupled with people using the bathroom outside everywhere all the time? It would be a much rougher life than TWD and similar movies, TV shows portray. Story 5. Load my guns and go out and scavenge as much food as I can. Then barricade in the basement, have a pint, and wait for it all to blow over. I don't believe in zombies that can last for over a week. Story 6. ID shelter in place for a few weeks or so and wait for the initial chaos and panic to stop. Then I'd hop on my dirt bike or ATV, using these to be more nimble and easier to get through or around obstacles and don't have to stick to a road, and do a short-range scout around my current area. Once I do that and see what areas seem safe, I'll map those areas out. Then, very slowly over time, ID makes some runs to scavenge food and supplies and do some hunting for deer. Once I build up a decent stockpile of food and supplies to make a long trip, ID load up my ATV into my truck and fit as much supplies as I possibly could into the truck. Then ID make for my camp, which is located in a very secluded area in the mountains near me where there is a cabin and a generator. Stay there for as long as possible with anyone close to me. Then just figure things out from there, lol. Story 7. I was a big fan of The Walking Dead, and I noticed you could be walking along with no one in sight and no hiding places nearby. Yet somehow those sneaky zombies would appear out of nowhere, and no matter how their bodies had decomposed, they were super strong and had great teeth. I mean, arms and legs were literally falling off, yet they could run like hell. My solution would be having complete military or police armor gear, ride a dirt bike, and carry a pike and sword, basically the Mandalorian. Story 8. Funny enough, when I bought my house, I told my wife, this place is perfect against zombies. Board up the back door, destroy the walk up to the front door, reinforce my fences. I have a 360 view from the top floor. My main floor is not at street level, and my basement has minimal block windows. If they are slow zombies, I could ride it out indefinitely, just picking them off one by one from the windows up top. I'd have to go out and get food and supplies, and that would be tough, but I'm pretty sure I can hold out until winter when they freeze to make a go at that. I honestly wouldn't expect people to go crazy killing each other and stuff in a slow zombie situation. In fact, unless it was something that instantly turned 70% of the population, biting people to spread a virus is an incredibly slow way to transfer a disease. Story 9, lock my wife out of the house. Actually, to all these people saying, I'd go to Costco or I'd go out with my gun and scavenge food, are you forgetting that a lot of other people will be doing this same thing? And as long as a few don't want to share, it will be a bloodbath out and about. Zombies aren't the biggest threat. Why don't you have that food on hand now? Why are you waiting for an apocalypse to get it? There are a ton of emergencies that can happen in real life. Get a large stock of water, dried beans, Spam, pasta, and simply learn how to grow potatoes in a bucket. Yeah, it's not the healthiest, but you should be looking to survive for 4 weeks in case there's a disruption of services. And you can't count on the freezer because the power will probably be out. Same thing for water. Don't forget the first aid kit. Story 10. I'd become a chainmail-clad Viking. Zombies couldn't bite or claw through chainmail. A sword would decapitate them. They probably wouldn't do well in water, So I'd take a boat to an island and set up shop. From the island, I'd raid settlements along the coast in the night or early mornings. I'd use guns on the humans. I'd wear Kevlar over my chainmail for them as well. An informed party always has the advantage over an uninformed party. So, a quick raid, stock the boat, set off back to the island until supplies got low, then raid again. Story 11. I actually always have an answer. At any point in time you can ask me and I'll have an escape route. At the moment I'm in bed, so I'd get the two people who live above me to combine our flat into one house and use it as a base until we can get out the city or make the house secure. If you were to ask me while walking to the shops, I'd be like, yeah, I'd climb that lamppost onto the roof of that building and use those pieces of wood as weapons. Story 12. At this point, I'm too old to deal with it. I'll just wall off what I can, try to farm what I can, and hope get good enough to sustain myself until some civilization starts to appear again. Maybe this will give me time to get back in shape, and I'll be able to go on foraging missions to get necessities, maybe even whittle down some of the zombies. Story 13. I'd go to a Menards. For those of you who don't live in the Midwest, it's a regional home improvement chain like a Lowe's or a Home Depot. There are tools and lumber to seal the building off. Menards locations have the back and sides surrounded by a tall wooden gate, so you just have to worry about the front. Gun stores will be overrun by people fighting over weapons, but plenty of tools can be used to kill zombies, from axes to machetes to chainsaws. There's a surprising amount of food in them, and two locations I can think of are across from Walmart's, so it would be a short trip to forage for supplies or, more likely, trade with whoever has set up camp there. I have put too much thought into my zombie apocalypse plans, and they all fall apart the moment I run out of insulin. Story 14. Fill every tub and sink with water. Fill any containers with water. If water is unclean, spend the day boiling as much water as possible. Verify foods that can be saved or have a longer shelf life. Cook any meats and securely store. Secure your place of living. Be sure you are armed to protect yourself from people not zombies. Stay home and do not leave. Any family members that reach out recommend the same. If your vehicle is in the open, siphon the gas and keep it stored in case of emergency. Just wait it out. Keep a low profile and use the time waiting to plan a way out and future plans. Monitor radio and TV stations for any steps being taken for survival and emergency response. Story 15. If it starts, it will start somewhere else, specifically most likely. If I have that grace time, I'm getting books and needs like that. After, or if I don't have that time, I'm packing up my family and going to a friend's house. He inherited a lot of land basically in the woods, away from people, farmland, plenty of trees, and a house that is wood burning. He's a firefighter, my partner is an RN, and I'm strong and good at solving problems. We would start a small community. I went to college in the aughts with him during the zombie craze. This has been discussed at length. Story 16. Form a community with my neighbors and barricade the neighborhood with a single choke point in and out. Raise the grocery store and the pharmacy and take everything. Establish a hierarchy and a command structure, hunting teams, etc. Story 17. Well, I don't live in a city, just a small village. The store is located a couple of 100 meters from here. I would probably raid that fast for conserves and other useful stuff. Then I would probably wait it out at home, build weapons, keep an extremely low profile, etc. Maybe kill some zombies in my hood I don't want walking about. I'd probably use a bat, it's most effective and have reach. Maybe I can build some armor too out of leather if I can find any. We also have a little hospital here, I would probably raid that too. And a car and petrol, gotta have that. And some company maybe so I don't get lonely. Story 18. Honestly, try to get as far away from civilization as possible, at least for the meantime. Lower population density means lower zombie density. We live in an area where wildfires are the most likely natural disaster, and we've been on pre-evacuation before. As such, we have go bags prepped. Nothing crazy like a bug-out bag or similar. It's not something to embark on some prepper fantasy into the woods with. It's a realistic backpack with the necessities to stay at a hotel or a friend's house for a while, that's all. Anyway, we have bags prepped and a plan ready so we don't panic if we get an evac notice. Because of this, we're ready to leave at a moment's notice with some basic supplies. Again, not prepped to go survive in the wilderness. Very few people actually are because doing so is extremely difficult and unrealistic, even if you do have training and have prepared for it, neither of which are the case for us. So my plan is already in place. Just leave. Grab our pre-packed stuff, follow the evac plan, and GTFO. But instead of going to a friend's house or to a local Marriott or whatever, till we get the all clear to go back to our house or the field of ashes that used to be our neighborhood, I'd head east, away from the cities, away from major population centers, with a vague primary goal: get somewhere that still has civilization, but is very low population density. Our chances of finding and being useful to a small town community and integrating with them is basically our only shot at immediate survival, and we'll go from there as best we can. I'd say it's about a 40% chance we make it. Otherwise, we hunker down, which is certain doom. We'd run out of water, run out of food, be all on our own, and there is verifiable data due to the more or less constant state of war the world is in that keep moving = survive, wait and see = die. Hunkering down is a terrible idea unless you somehow magically have a self-contained, self-sustaining, defensible, inconspicuous bunker, and literally no one has those. The people with the resources for such things are few and far between. The people with the means and who think it's necessary are fewer still. Only alternative left is to try to get help from existing authorities and infrastructure. That is, join the throngs of panicked animals trying to do likewise, choking the roads, crowding around hospitals, fire stations, police stations, libraries, and other public buildings and ad hoc aid stations. These are super spreader events that are going to cause these areas to melt in an inferno of infection and chaos. No thanks. Getting away from all that is the only other option. Even then, chances are slim. Story 19:1. Arm myself too. Pack my car with duffel bags of rice and beans, reloading press, fishing equipment, survival gear, and as many ammo parts and live ammo as I can find. 3. Steal a good sailboat equipped with a good RO filter, very common for long-range sailboats. 4. Get out of range of land. 5. Radio satellite communicate with my loved ones while raiding the beach and sailing up and down the coast. 6. Hopefully find an eye patch during my marauding. Was born and raised on a sailboat. My dad current sails the world retired. We've talked about this over beers at length, and I'm sure he and his wife would be fine. And I live in Florida, so finding a boat to steal shouldn't be terribly hard. I know of a few dozen that fit this bill already. We've talked about what island we'd meet up on, but that's our secret. Story 20. Fill my bathtub with water along with every container I have, then destroy the stairs that lead up to my apartment. I already have about 6 months of food stocked up. My chances of getting out of the city alive would be very low. Assuming the city doesn't burn down, the longer I can stay isolated, the better. Once I'm forced to leave, there should be fewer zombies and violent people. I'd then restock on food and water, doing short trips at first. I'd probably attempt to delay leaving the city for at least a year. Story 21 depends on what kind of zombies they are. If they're stupid George Romero-type zombies, then I'll head off to the nearest island to wait it out or go to the local military base. If they're 28 days later type zombies, then I'll get a boat with a ton of supplies and wait it out until the zombies starve or I'm able to get help. If they're Walking Dead types, I'll probably end up dying from boredom and poor story pacing. Story 22. Realistically, I have nothing that will protect me. I'm going to a hardware or sporting goods store, and I'm stocking up on as much survival stuff as possible. I'm going crossbow, whatever one will yield the best results with the least amount of training and the most damage. I'm also going to my local house of knives because they sell actual swords and machetes. Nothing fancy, just good quality steel that's good for stabbing and slashing. As far as armor is concerned, I have no idea. Story 23. Assuming that I'm at the office when the alert comes out, I head to my kids' school and pull them out, while trying to get a hold of my spouse to let her know we need to meet up at home ASAP and we'll need to hunker down for a while. Then probably put out a mass text to my neighbors trying to organize our little community. The idea would be to isolate initially and then carefully work together to maintain necessities. Story 24. Well, basically I have a camera drone and a solar panel charger. Probably I will fortify my apartment, raid whatever is left of food and water supplies and cat food, prepare wood and diesel generator if I find arms, take them, and try to sit the shot out. The drone will be good for recon the area, so I know where bigger zombie groups move. The good part is, I live in a slightly isolated area with many fruit trees and wildlife. My chances in summer are quite good. Winter will be the dangerous part. Story 25. How would a realistic zombie virus work? It should work like rabies, but faster and should be airborne. No way there is a virus infection causing a behavioral shift like this, which is not lethal within a few hours or days. Also unlikely that a zombie would run faster than me or would have more physical strength, stamina, or orientation. Under realistic circumstances, we would have a spiced-up corona pandemic. Depending on the lethality and infection rate, this would be a 2-year mass dying. Sometimes you would see someone walking disoriented on the street collapsing after a few hours. Most people will just die in their houses or fall from a window or balcony. The rest is really zombie apocalypse style. Society is barely working. The uninfected are more dangerous. For a movie like Zombie Apocalypse with the Undead, form a group of 4. Why 4? Transportation is most flexible with 4 people plus luggage. You can work in pairs and share tasks better. Still, I don't think a crazy zombie outbreak can last longer than 30 days. 10 days it gets exponentially worse. 10 days it's on peak, 10 days it gets less. No way zombies like this can survive longer. Undead zombies make no sense.